Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of The Black Knitter. This is episode 7. I'm Liz, the Black Knitter, and this is a podcast that's all about all things blackness and knitting for the most part. If you are new here, welcome. I'm so glad you're here. If you've been here before, welcome back. Thank you for supporting the channel by liking and subscribing. I'm not here to make money. I am here to make it easier to find and support Black and Brown makers in our community. So if you're interested in learning about makers of color and supporting them, you're in the right place. If you're interested in learning more about what it's like being a person of color in the making community, you're in the right place. So, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to talk about Habari Gani. What's the news? What have I been up to the last couple of weeks since the last episode? I've been busy, y'all. I'm kind of tired. My church went back to in-person services this past weekend. So I've actually got to go to church and experience in-person Sunday school and worship. I don't know if I've mentioned this before, but I am a certified lay minister in the United Methodist Church. That means that I've been given the authority, permission to serve under the supervision of a pastor in a capacity that uses my spiritual gifts and assists the pastor or the church in ministry. At my church, that means that I teach an adult Sunday school course or class. I preach whenever the pastor needs me to preach, or whenever a local church calls and asks me to fill in for a pastor. And it also means that I serve in other ways. I'm also the lay leader for our district, which is the Akron area in Ohio. And as the lay leader, that means I'm on a lot of committees in our conference. So I do a lot related to the church. I actually have another channel. I'll link it below, where I've been posting Sunday school lessons. So when the pandemic started in March of 2019, I guess that was, or was it 2020? I think it was 2019, actually, right? We started to do as much as we could online. So I started posting Sunday school lessons. So you can check those out if you're interested in that. And I will warn you, I am a liberal Christian or progressive Christian. I actually describe myself as a follower of the way. The word Christian has kind of been co-opted by conservatives, and that's not me. I'm very progressive. My church is pretty progressive. And what that means is that I believe that LGBTQIA plus people are loved by God and should be fully included in the church, the life of the church. It also means that I believe in the Jesus that flipped tables and spoke truth to power. It means that I believe that as Christian people, we have a duty, an obligation to undo systems of oppression, and that we should we should have universal health care, and we should have social programs that help lift people out of poverty, that we should be concerned about the plight of the poor. So, if you want to learn a little bit about the Bible, if you are a follower of the way, check out that channel. Again, it will be linked below. Other news. I've been participating in a book study with a group of United Methodists where I live. We're reading and discussing a book. I actually have it right here. It's called White Too Long: The Legacy of White Supremacy in American Christianity by Robert Jones. I'll link it below as well. The history and research in this book is really interesting. Last week, we actually talked about chapter 5 in the book, which is about some research that was done on the relationship between attitudes towards Black people and perceptions of structural injustice or structural racism. And here's an example of what that research shows. White Christians who report the warmest or closest feelings toward Black people also have the highest scores on racism. They're also much more likely to deny that Black people encounter prejudice and discrimination that impacts their ability to get ahead. Isn't that interesting? So basically, white Christians say that they love Black people, but they deny the existence of the conditions that impact Black people every day. And, we've seen this same disconnect in the knitting community. There are white people that claim that they love and welcome everyone, but they don't believe that Black and brown people who say they have experienced racism are actually experiencing racism. So I think there are some really interesting parallels between what I've been reading in this book and my own experience as a Black person in the knitting and making community. Anyway, it's a good book. Check it out. Again, I'll link it below. I'm having some wine. I love wine. I have a collection of wine. It's one of the things that my husband and I love to do, is to visit wineries in Northeast Ohio. It's a really good grape growing region, actually. So there are a lot of wineries in the area. So I'm having some wine. I hope you are too. If you don't have something to drink, pause this video and go get something and come back and enjoy a drink with me. So, other things. I've been working on a test knit, and I'll tell you more about that in a bit when we get to Kumba, or creativity. I've been dealing with a sick dog the last couple of weeks. We have 2 Yorkies. Yorkies are great dogs, by the way, if you're in the market for a dog. They are both rescues. And let me tell you this. You can get a purebred dog from a rescue. You don't have to buy it from a breeder. There are plenty of dogs that need to be rescued. So check out your local rescue before you go buy a dog. But both of our Yorkies are rescues. One is about 15. He'll be 15 in August. He's a rescue, so we celebrate their birthdays in August. And the other one is about 3 years old. But the older one, his name is Nico. He actually has his own Instagram page if you want to follow him. It's My Baby Nico, Neeko, all one word. Um, but there are lots of people who are interested in what's happening with Nico, so I post updates there. And there's lots of pictures of our other dog. And we just had a beagle pass away a couple of months ago. So there are pictures of him on there as well. But so Nico has been showing, he's only 3 pounds on a good day. But he has been showing for probably the last year signs that his kidneys were not functioning as well as they should. And the last couple of months, since like right after Christmas, he's been having some real issues. He's lost a lot of weight. He got down to, like I said, he's usually 3 pounds. He got down to like 1.8, so he lost almost half his body weight. Wasn't eating really well, and just not doing well at all. So took him in, and he is in acute kidney failure right now. And the way that they treat that is to give your dog subcutaneous fluids, and as much as they need. So I have had to take him into the vet like twice a week to get these subcutaneous fluids. He is getting better. That is the good thing. He is improving. So the thing to watch now is that we're going to do these subcutaneous fluids for a couple of more weeks. They're going to redo his blood work. And if he continues to improve, they'll take him off the subcutaneous fluids and see if his numbers stay stable. If they don't, then he's going to have to stay on subcutaneous fluids. And that means that they're probably going to have to teach me how to do it at home, because I can't be going to the vet every 3 days. I mean, I will. If that's what I have to do, that's what I have to do, because Nico is my ace. He's my road dog, for real, for real. When I was teaching full time, I was on faculty for a long time before I took on my current role. He would come to work with me every day. He would go to class with me. Students loved to have him in class. And he loved doing that. That was his job. So he got me through the tenure process. If any of you know about the tenure process, it's a process. So I'm hoping that he'll continue to do well. And if he doesn't, that I will be able to let him go. So pray for me, y'all, because it's going to be a hard thing for me if that is the decision that I have to make. But right now he's doing really well. He's eating really well. And he's actually in the office with me now, but he's sleeping, so I don't want to wake him up to show him on camera. Maybe I'll stick a picture of him somewhere in here when I edit. So that's another thing that we've been dealing with, is Nico being sick. The other thing that we did since the last episode was we got a car for my son. He is in college, and he has about 3 semesters left. And he's starting to think about internships and what he wants to do after he's done. So thought he really needed a car, and he really does need a car because he has to go to class. He has class Monday through Thursday. And he got really tired of kind of having to hang out on campus with me all day when he only has one in-person class every day. He goes to college where I work because he's taking advantage of the tuition waiver that is available to him because I work there. But he's really into cars and motorsports. So he wanted a manual transmission. But he doesn't know how to drive a manual transmission. So he found a car, and we went ahead and bought it, and I drove it home because I can drive a stick. We did some lessons in the parking lot at our local high school. And he did really well. He's picking up on it really quickly. And since we did that lesson, he's been taking it out and like driving it around our neighborhood to practice. He went to Target the other day. So he's learning really quickly. So I don't know if you've ever driven a manual transmission. It's a lot of fun, but it's a process to learn it. Let me know in the comments if you've driven one and how you like it. But I really liked driving it around for a little bit, and my husband took it out this morning, so it is a lot of fun. Tell me what you think about driving a stick in the comments. And then the last bit of news, my husband had a surgery actually right after the last episode. And I don't know if you've seen those commercials about bad surgical mesh, but my husband was one of the patients who got some bad surgical mesh. So he had a surgery to remove and replace that mesh. And he's doing well. He's just trying to do too much. It has been just 2 weeks now since his surgery. And he just wants to do all the things. So we're having a hard time getting him to just take it easy. But he is doing well. So anyway, that's what I have been up to the last couple of weeks. So let's get into some knitting content. So I announced last time that we are doing a Black History Make-Along. So make sure that you check out the Ravelry group. If Ravelry is accessible to you, there is a group there for the Black History Month Make-Along. There's a thread for just chatter, posting what you're working on, posting Black makers, dyers, and designers that you are using or that you like, so that we can share all of that information with others. And there's also a hashtag. I'll put the hashtag up here. The hashtag is BK Black History Mal. It will be open until February 28th at 11:59 p.m. Whips are allowed. The only parameters really are that you either use a pattern by a Black designer or yarn by a Black independent dyer. So check out my show notes of all my episodes. I've posted lots of links to Black designers and Black dyers. So check those out if you want ideas. You can also post, so there's a finished object thread on Ravelry. You can also post a finished object using the hashtag, and I'll pick a winner from Instagram and a winner from the Ravelry thread. And I want to shout out a Lefty Knitter podcast, Aquila, and her husband, Johnny Bow of Nitty Bow Fiber Company. So Aquila has been talking about the make along on her podcast and on her Instagram. Thank you so much, Aquila. I love you. And Johnny Bow is awesome too. I've talked about him on the podcast before, and I used some of his yarn in my latest finished object, which I posted on Instagram and talked about in the last episode. I did the Night Shift Shawl by Andrea Mowry, but using his Johnny Bow's colorway Dopamine in that shawl. I actually wore it to work today. I've been wearing that shawl a lot because it's been super cold here in Ohio. But Johnny Bow has offered, he reached out to me and offered to donate a prize for the Mal. Isn't that great? So if you don't follow them, make sure you do. I will link them below. They are really good examples of what it means to be a good white ally to Black and brown people, because they support me. They have promoted this podcast, and they're also supporting the Mal. So they not only talk the talk, but they walk the walk. So I really appreciate them. And I can't say enough good things about them. So thank you so much, you guys. I really, really do love y'all. Okay, so Kumba creativity. What have I been working on? So the first thing I'll show you is progress on the sweater that I am working on for my husband. It is the single malt sweater by Maxim Sear. Where am I at here? Here we go. There it is. So in the last episode, I had split for the sleeves. You can see that here. I've gotten pretty far down on the body. I think I might put the body on some waste yarn and finish the sleeves. Michael at Piece for Piece Crafting did that. He just finished, or he's almost finished with this sweater. And I think that's a really good strategy to use for not getting stuck on Sleeve Island, right? So I think I might do that, but I am loving the way that this is turning out. I might have to make one of these for myself, actually. I am using City Tweed by Knit Picks, and it is a wool alpaca blend. And it's just knitting up really, really nicely. It feels really nice. And I will show you. Yeah, it's 55% merino wool, 25% superfine alpaca, 20% Donegal tweed. That is it. Hope you can see that. There it goes. City Tweed. And this color is, I can never remember, Cobalt. So it's actually more blue than purple. So it's almost like a royal blue. So my husband's going to love that when it's done. Great pattern too. Maxim Sear has some great patterns anyway, but this is really, really a nice engaging knit. So that's my first work in progress. Another work in progress I have in my one of my yarn and whiskey bags, and this is the Birthright Shawl by Dr. Charlie Untangled. That's her name on Instagram, and I have not made a whole lot of progress on this. So the progress keeper I have on here, which is a Whitney Marie Anderson progress keeper from my Kwanzaa box by Passion Knits Yarn. That's where I was the last time, I believe. So I've only done a couple of rows on this, and I'll explain why I haven't gotten very far on this in a minute. But I am using yarn from Passion Knits Yarn, which is what this is. And then this colorway for this next section is from Willy Nilly Knits. Those yarns, dyers will be linked below. This pattern was part of the Lady Dye Yarns Juneteenth collection, which included yarn, a project bag, some stitch markers, some good stuff, the pattern. So really, really good stuff. My next work in progress, let me show you this one. This is in my other yarn and whiskey bag. And I've talked about her before. I love her bags because it's all African fabric, which is awesome. You know, representation matters. So in that bag, I'm keeping the test knit that I'm working on. So Noma at Bigger Than Life Knits. You can find her on Ravelry under Bigger Than Life Knits. She's got a lot of great patterns. She's from South Africa, but she has a shawl pattern. It's called the Fezeka Shawl, Fezeka shawl, and it's a cable pattern. So here it is right here. So I have finished the first section of the shawl. It's going to be pretty long, I think. And just started the second section. And the second section, you just repeat until it's as big as you want it to be. I have one of my stitch markers from the Chicken Coop Dye Works Kwanzaa box. It says fire. It's cool. And I am using my Lantern Moon needles. And these are on a swivel cable. It's just super cool. Love that. I've often had the experience where I'm working on a shawl on interchangeable needles, and the needle actually unscrews from the cable because it's just twisting around or whatever. So the swivel cables really help with that. So I got these Lantern Moon needles from Madeline Tosh's website. They sell them. Really great. Interchangeable set. And the yarn that I'm using is from Superfine Yarn Co. It's a local independent dyer to me. She is in Cleveland. Her name is Sarah. And this yarn, the colorway is called Vesper. and it is a MCN merino cashmere nylon. And y'all, I love me some cashmere, okay? It is so soft. And because this pattern is cabled, it is nice and squishy. Um, I can't wait to wear this thing. I was so excited when uh, Noma posted on Instagram that she was ready for test knitters, because I told her I'm stoked to test knit this for you, because I just love the design, and I had the yarn all ready. It was like I was just waiting for the perfect opportunity. So check out Superfine Yarn Co. She's got some cool colors, and lots of bases. This MCN is awesome. It's called West 25th Street is the name of the base. And I also really like her Romney sock base. Not many people have Romney as a base. So I've made my son some socks with that Romney sock base that he really loves. So check out Superfine Yarn Co. Her and her friend Christina have a podcast together called Yarn Hellions, and I love it. Check it out. Christina is a former editor, and Sarah is a librarian, and so in their podcast they talk about books that they're reading. So if you're into books, that's a really good podcast to check out. All right, the last work in progress that I have here, it's in this is a project bag from Lady Dye Yarn Co. It's got a quote from Miles Davis on it, which I love. Again, representation matters. And this has my Black History Make-Along project in it. I am working on a pattern by Fatima Hines, who is Disturbing the Fleece on Instagram. She is a phenomenal knitwear designer. And I am working on a shawl pattern of hers called Weak Moral Fiber. That was a collaboration with, I think it was Rebel Girl Yarns, where all the proceeds for the pattern and kits went to support abortion rights in Texas. So I bought the pattern when it came out, and I was just waiting for the right time to knit it up. I am also using yarn from Black Indie Dyers, and I've talked about them before. The main color is Willy Nilly Knits Glow in the Dark, and it's kind of all bunched up on needles here, but this colorway is phenomenal, and this pattern is phenomenal. I love it. It's a really engaging knit, and I've really enjoyed working on this. So it's just growing and growing. I have a progress keeper on here, another Whitney Marie Anderson progress keeper from my Passion Knits Yarn Kwanzaa box. It's a keyboard, really cool. Again, this is this main color is Glow in the Dark from Willy Nilly Knits, and then I'm using 2 other colors. The pattern calls for 3 colors altogether. So the blue color is Danube from Chicken Coop Dye Works. And the Yellow is My Neutral from Passionate's Yarn. So those are those colors there that you can see. Again, this is a great pattern. Love it. Cool border design there. Really, really nice. And love the way that this glow in the dark is knitting up. So working hard to get that done by the end of the month. I'm going to focus on that the next couple of weeks because I've got some time to get that test knit done. That's not due until mid-March. So I've got some time for that. So I'm going to focus on getting my shawl done. Another thing that Fatima is doing is she released a new pattern called Wafla. It's a sweater pattern at the end of January. And she's going to be doing a Wafla make-along starting March 1st. So I will be participating in that make-along. I was so excited that the pattern was releasing. I actually saw it on Ravelry and it wasn't available, and I messaged her, and like the same day that I messaged her, she announced that it was going to be released again. So what I'm trying to do now is decide what yarn I'm going to use for that project. I got to figure it out pretty quick here. So take a look at the pattern. I will link it below so you can take a look and let me know your thoughts on colors for this pattern. I'm actually thinking about there's a independent dyer, Essence of Autumn. I've been following her for a long time. I haven't bought any of her yarn yet, but I've been following her for a long time because I just really love the yarn that she dyes. It's really, really beautiful. But she now has a BFL, blue-faced Leicester base that I think I want to use for this pattern. So that's what I'm considering. I will link her below so that you can check her out. But let me know what you think about the pattern and about yarn choices. The Wafla pattern has a really beautiful stitch pattern. So I definitely want to choose a yarn that's going to allow people to really see the pattern in the stitches. So let me know what you think about that. And then for our last segment of the podcast, Ujamaa, which is cooperative economics. That's where I talk about acquisitions. I haven't bought anything because I've been spending all my yarn money on taking this dog to the vet, y'all. But I did want to share with you some yarn from my stash that I got from another Black independent yarn dyer. Because it's really nice yarn. You should definitely check her out, and I will link her below. And that is Verse Yarns. It's really hard to see the label. Again, I will link it below. This is, the color is Americano. That's my favorite coffee drink, by the way, an Americano. And this color is just delicious. This really brown color. I love it. And I'm saving this for something special. This is it's 50% baby Sura alpaca, 25% mulberry silk, 25% linen. 100 grams, 273 yards. So that is a DK weight. It feels so beautiful. Really, really soft. It's got a little bit of halo. Can you see that? Really just lovely yarn. When I bought this, she actually threw in a mini. And this is called Little Black Dress. Isn't that beautiful? And this is 100% Highland Peruvian wool, non-superwash. It is a DK weight. And it's 20 grams, 49 yards. So her name is Stephanie at Verse Yarns. That is really, really beautiful. So I've just been hanging on to this. I'm not quite sure what I want to make with it. But definitely check her out. I don't think you will be disappointed. All right. All right. So I think that is all I have for today. I will see you in a couple of weeks. And until then, Asante Sana.